What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk about Virgin Galactic, tickers SPCE. I'm going to give you a breakdown of some of the data points, what's been coming out from the company itself, and with their Q3 earnings right around the corner, some expectations that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So Virgin is up about 8.82%. A lot of good volume, so 7.9 million shares being traded. 8.5 is the average. Market's been open about 2.5 hours, so for it being a Friday, definitely very good. Latest news did come out was yesterday afternoon saying that Virgin Galactic completed its 6th successful space flight in 6 months. So even though they're burning through a ton of cash, you got to give it to them. Operationally, they are on point. So once they do add a second ship and kind of work on things behind the scenes a little bit better, like this is going to be a very good company, assuming obviously everything goes to plan. So we'll be able to find out with their upcoming earnings and get a good sense of that next week ultimately. So in case you do not know, their upcoming earnings is right here, so on November the 8th after hours. But once again, I'm going to give you an overview of all that in a second. But one thing I just wanted to share with you, so when it comes down to this specific mission, a lot of people were very negative because as soon as they did announce that it was going to be primarily for research, it kind of made people feel uneasy. So it caused the stock price to go down considerably that day. But based on a lot of the PR, it's actually been surprisingly good. So Dr. Alan Stern kind of did a piece on this, essentially saying that while on that 60-minute mission, he was able to conduct a lot of tests. And I feel like a lot of articles have kind of piggybacked off of that. And so once again, I think this is a very positive spin for Virgin Galactic. And plus, with this news coming out yesterday, and what Powell has said, kicking off the broader rally that's been happening on a larger scale to a lot of stocks that have been completely hammered, I think this is so far working out for Virgin, at least in the short term. But once again, it'll come back down onto the earnings because basically with them saying such little future revenue for Q3 and Q4, that's what kickstarted absolutely all of this downtrend. But there are several things that we're going to really have to pay attention to for the upcoming earnings. Earnings per share, revenue, and future guidance. Out of anything, everyone and their dog is going to be paying attention to the future guidance because earnings per share, we already know is going to be at a pretty significant loss. And it's kind of all over the place based on the history. So we don't really know if they're going to far exceed analyst expectations or whatnot. But as it stands, there's around 10 analysts with consensus of negative 43 cents. It did go from 9 to 10 analysts, so one analyst recently jumped on board. And for revenue, though, it looks like one analyst left, so it went from 9 to 8 and went from 1.49 million to 1.07 million. So one bullish analyst definitely left the building. And based on a lot of this, so the analyst ratings or the latest analyst ratings, obviously not a lot of optimism. So Trist and Bank of America both $1. And I did do a video saying that $1 isn't too far-fetched away. But one thing that could change the dynamic of Virgin Galactic is with their future guidance. So obviously everyone and their dog is anticipating that essentially 1 million is going to be the revenue for Q4. But what if they raise it? What if they raise it to potentially 5 million? Because like I said, operationally, they're doing very good. The thing that a lot of people don't necessarily know is how much people are essentially paying per ticket. And so that's kind of that X factor. With this upcoming earnings, we'll be able to break it down on what the true amount was. And there's a lot of things that will be able to come from this earnings. So once again, this upcoming earnings could give the opportunity to kind of permanently break this downtrend. And one thing to note as well, so I'll give you an overview what actually happened during this downtrend. And it was more so pretty surprising. So holders, a lot of the bigger players in the game, such as BlackRock, Vanguard, surprisingly both increased their position during that downtrend. So looks like Vanguard increased during Q3 3.06 million and BlackRock 1.34 million. So pretty good in that regard. And while I'm actually on Ortex, I'll give you an overview of what shorts did. But one thing I wanted to share with you before I get into this and the other data points, Moomoo does have a kick-ass promo. Just sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000, and now they added a little bit more of an incentive, so you do get 1 extra free share of SoFi. And any cash that you do have in this account, they're going to be giving you 5.1% APY, which is far better than anything out there. So take advantage of this, link in the description below and also the comments. So this is only up until November the 20th, so make sure you take advantage of that. But while I am on Ortex shorts, so currently shorts are increasing around 2.05 million shares, 21.63% of the free floats being shorted, and 72.24 million shares overall are being shorted, which works out to be about $119.32 million worth. And so the fact that shorts are increasing today on a green day, it shows that they don't feel it's justified, which again is something that you need to be aware of. Obviously, some people are saying that this is a little bit more of a bear trap essentially, because it's not necessarily just Virgin, right? The broader market is rallying based on what Powell did say. So once again, you really need to look towards earnings. A lot of companies are having some pretty kick-ass earnings to justify their multiples and their price going up. So when it comes down to Virgin, you really need to pay attention to this upcoming earnings just to see exactly what they do say or what they don't say. But quickly moving on, just starting off with options activity for today, $242,000 in calls being purchased versus 308 in puts. So based on this, a little bit more evenly divided, but of course comparing it to the last couple of days, there is a lot more calls. So maybe a little bit more optimism when it comes down to that, but based on these dollar values right here, that is just probably shorts hedging their bets. Looking at the specific calls though, so all the strike prices, expiry dates, based on the volume, it is anticipated to be roughly about above $2 by the end of next week. So that does encumber their earnings. So clearly some optimism there. If you are looking at puts, not much activity. So of course, I feel like the risk versus reward is definitely in favor of Virgin. But ultimately, let's talk on some technicals. So with it right now at $1.86, it is exactly on this R2, so a very strong resistance. So hopefully it can break above that and stay there. But as it stands, it is trading between this R1 and the R2. So $1.75 is going to be the next, or I guess the closest resistance, and then that $1.86, depending on how it closes today, that will either be the new support or stay the resistance. So Virgin definitely has been outperforming a lot of the other growth stocks with it trading between this range. Most other ones are right now between this S1 and the pivot, or some kind of good stocks out there that have a good balance sheet right now between the P and the R1. So Virgin Galactic definitely is doing fairly good in my opinion, but obviously there is some hesitation. This is why you do see shorts increasing today, because they kind of feel like this rally overall is not really justified. But once again, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. What is your take on this upcoming earnings? Do you think that it is going to be positive, negative? What's your viewpoint on all that? In my opinion, the only thing to really get from this earnings, as far as numbers wise, is that we'll be able to calculate to see basically how much per person paid for the flight, because that's something that we don't really know, is how much per flight are they getting charged. Of course, when it comes down to the researchers, I think it's fair to assume that maybe this is going to be very, very minimal, if anything. But once again, once the earnings are out, we'll be able to kind of break that down and figure out a good realistic price. And over and above that, it's just going to be the future guidance. So a lot of volatility most likely is going to be in Virgin Galactic's future, but could be for the positive. So let me know your thoughts on all this. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And like I said, take advantage of this promo. This is only up until November the 20th. This is one of the best deals that you can get that I've seen in a very long time, especially with that 5.1 APY. So let me know your thoughts on Virgin Galactic. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, I appreciate all of you watching.